everyone, my name's Amity and this is Read by Amity, and today I am going to do a rapid fire book haul. I have 48 books to haul for you today, and I got them all from the Lifeline Big Book Fair here in the Illawarra, which is in New South Wales in Australia, if you weren't aware of that. So my plan is, because I do have 48 books to haul and a lot of time, I'm not going to talk about the synopsis of them. I'm just going to rapid fire show you the books that I hauled and point out any that I'm really excited about. Obviously I hauled them, so I'm excited about all of them, but yeah, let's get to it. So the first two I'm going to show you today are Station 11 and Last Night in Montreal by Emily St. John Mandel. These two are in fantastic condition and they match, so I had to grab them. I've already read Station 11 and loved it. I actually read it while I was building these bookshelves, while my husband and I were building them, so I listened to that one on audiobook, and that was a really fun time because I read it right at the start of the pandemic, which was really interesting. So that's those two. The next book that I hauled is The next book that I got is Beyond Good and Evil by Frederick Nietzsche. This one is a Penguin classic and is obviously written by Nietzsche, who is quite an infamous philosopher, and I've just been interested in reading his work, so I thought why not pick this one up. It was only $3, so not a loss at all for that one. The next book that I got I almost didn't pick up, but I thought that I could read this and then also watch the new adaptation that has just come out, and that one is Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. This one is just, I think, a Reader's Digest edition, potentially. Not entirely sure, but it only cost me $3 as well, so that one was a bargain. The next book that I picked up was The Vegetarian by Han Kang, and this one is actually one that I've really been wanting to read. It's quite short. I think it's only about 170 pages, yeah. And when I saw this, I had to snatch that one up, and I also found a flight ticket in it. So thank you to Janelle for donating your book, your copy of The Vegetarian, because now I get to read it. I am hopefully going to get to this one next month actually, and this one cost $4. The next book that I picked up was Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I only picked this one up because I am collecting as many of the editions of Bram Stoker as I can find, except that I'm purely doing it through secondhand bookstores and like book fairs, like the Lifeline Book Fair, and I've yet to get this edition, which I thought was pretty cool, and it's extra floppy, and we love a floppy book, so I'm not actually going to be reading this one. I have probably about 10 different editions of Dracula at the moment, but I definitely wanted to add this one to the collection, and I picked this one up for $2. The next one is another one that I've already read and absolutely loved, and I was so excited to find this at the book fair, and that is Not That Bad, and this one's edited by Roxane Gay, and it is Dispatches from Rape Culture. This is a non-fiction piece of work, and it explores a number of women's stories about their experiences with sexual assault and dealing with sexual assault and rape in their workplace and within their friend groups, and from complete strangers, and how that affected them and all of that. So I really think this one's an important one to read. I'm definitely gonna go back through it and tab all of my bookmarks that I left in the audiobook, which I also recommend because that was fantastic. But yeah, I was very excited to get this one, and I got this one for $1.50. So that was really good bargain. The next one that I picked up was The Real F. Scott Fitzgerald, 35 Years Later by Sheila Graham, and just look at that funky cover, and there's a portrait on the back. This one is written by Sheila Graham, who was F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife. I think it was his wife. Yeah. So she talks about what it was like to be married to him and what he was really like, and I just think that that's a really interesting book to have. I don't know when I'll get around to it, but it was only $3, so I couldn't pass that one up. The next one I picked up only for a couple of stories in it, and I plan on donating it back once I've read them. But I was interested in a couple of them, and that is Chicken Soup for the Women's Soul, and that has a bunch of stories written by, it has 101 stories written by numerous authors and journalists and just women in the industry, and I was particularly interested in what Maya Angelou wrote. Her story is right at the end there, so that's this one, which is Asking for Miracles, and I think that it's quite short. It's only a page and a half, 2 pages, and I would have just read it there and put the book back down, but the crowd was definitely rushing me along for that one, and it was only $1, so I figured I'll pick it up, read it, and then I might actually find some more that I like in there. But other than that, this one is gonna go back to Lifeline once I'm done with that. The next one I picked up is Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee, and Harper Lee is the author of To Kill a Mockingbird. I haven't read To Kill a Mockingbird since high school, but I remember really enjoying that one, and I do have a couple of other Harper Lee related books on my shelf, so I wanted to pick up this one. And of course this edition is like pristine hardback with the dust jacket still intact, and it has deckled edges, which is not something you see very often these days, but this one was $4, so couldn't pass that one up. The next one I picked up is Platform 7 by Louise Doherty, and this one, although it did get bad reviews or mixed reviews last year, it was in Kayla from Books and Lola's Literally Dead Book Club. I think it was maybe her March or April pick. Could have even been February. No, I don't think it was February, but it was one of the picks earlier in the year, and I remember I never got around to reading that one, and everyone else had quite a horrible time with it, but I really wanted to read it anyway, and this was only $3, so I figured there's no loss in picking this up, reading it. If I don't like it, I can donate it again. The next one I picked up, I was really excited to find, and I couldn't wait to add it to my collection, especially in the condition it's in, and that one is The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro, and this one is in stunning condition. It's gonna go fantastically with my other Kazuo Ishiguro books, and this one was $4. The next one I picked up was another one that wasn't received so well, and I haven't really heard much about it since it was published, but I remember it being pitched to me as a Mass Effect style book, which is one of my favorite video games, and although I know quite a few people were disappointed by it, it's still something that I really wanted to read, but I wasn't prepared to spend big dollars on it. So I was excited to find Seven Devils by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb for only $4, and it's in pretty good condition too. So if it's not something that I enjoy, I have no problems with donating it back to Lifeline. The next one that I picked up was pretty much a cover buy. I did read a little bit of the synopsis, but I didn't want to get too much into it because I don't like to read my synopses that often, but this one is Snuff, or S-N-U-F-F. It is an ex-library book, so it does have the library barcode over the S, but as you can see, it's called Snuff. And this one is by Victor Pelevin, and again, if it's not something that I enjoy, I have no qualms with donating it. It was only $4. The next book that I picked up is The Stalking of Julia Gillard. This is by Carrie Ann Welsh. This is a non-fiction book, and it is about how our ex-Prime Minister Julia Gillard was stalked by the media and stalked by her fellow politicians and bullied and forced basically out of parliamentary. So yeah, I was very interested in picking up this one. I did just read another book that she co-wrote, Women in Leadership. I can't remember if that's actually the title, but I'll pop it up here, and that one was really intriguing to listen to, so I figured this one would be a great stepping stone off that to delve more into the past and what really happened in Parliament back then, and this one was half price, which was $3. The next one I picked up purely as a random cover buy, and that one is The Good Son by Yu Jiang. I was very intrigued in this cover, and although there's no synopsis on the back, the blurbs that were written for this book were really interesting, so I picked up that one, and this one was $2, so that's a great find. This is the last one from my first half of my book haul, and that one is Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead. Again, this was another pick for the Literally Dead book club last year that I never got around to reading. Again, it wasn't one that was as well received, but I do have the rest of Colson Whitehead's collection of books, so I thought, I've been on the lookout for this one actually for quite some time now, but I lost it when I found this in a hardcover and in like quite good condition as well. And this one was only $2, so what a bargain that one was. This is a post-apocalyptic zombie book, I think. But yeah, I can't wait to read this one and see what I think of that. Alright, now on to the second stack, which is quite precarious, so try and get through this one fast. Okay, so the next one that I picked up is Agatha Christie, an autobiography, and this one is a tiny little edition. Very cute, very cute. It is an autobiography of Agatha Christie, and it has a bunch of like really interesting pictures in it. There were a couple of different editions there to choose from, but this one had the most interesting cover of them. And I don't really like the photorealistic one, so I picked the one that had an illustration on the cover instead of a photo. But yeah, I wanted to add this to my Agatha Christie collection, and of course I will read it eventually as well, but that is that one. The next three that I got are just collection builders. I have read the first one already, and I think I'm maybe a quarter of the way through the second one, but I do plan on restarting it because it's been almost a year now since I was reading this series. But that is the Mistborn trilogy, and I picked this up because it is the mass market paperbacks, which I thought were really cool addition to my collection to have. That one is Mistborn, and then we have The Well of Ascension and The Hero of Ages. And these three are all by Brandon Sanderson, so I'm going to add that to my Brando Sando collection. The next two that I picked up are both ones that I picked up purely because I have been slowly building up my classics collection, and I haven't read one of them, and I have read from the other author, so I wanted to grab one that I knew that I would like and one that I could try next time I'm picking up a classic. And the one that I've already read from is Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest. I haven't particularly read that story, but I have read from Oscar Wilde before and I do enjoy his writing. And the other one that I picked up is The Age of Chaucer? Gonna butcher that one. This one is just a collection of their work, so I wanted to add that one to my collection as well, and they're both just going to go and sit in my classic shelf. The next two I picked up because I have been really interested in reading one of them, and when I saw the second one there, I figured I would grab it too, because if I like the first one, then I'm going to want to read some more of that author's work, and that is White Teeth by Zadie Smith and On Beauty by Zadie Smith. So I grabbed both of them, even though the only one that I was actually really interested in was White Teeth, because I've heard so many good things about it. I wasn't gonna skip the opportunity to pick up more of her work just in case I do like it, and again, I can always redonate them. The next one that I picked up is A Brief History of Seven Killings by Marlon James. I have heard of this, but I'm not familiar with it, but based on what I did skim through and read, it does seem really interesting and definitely my kind of book, so I can't wait to get to this one. The next one that I picked up is one that is a classic, and that one is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I have obviously read this one, as many of us have, in high school, and I've read a fair few adaptations and retellings and books inspired by Lord of the Flies, including things like Wilder Girls by Rory Power, but I just loved this edition of it, and I don't have my high school edition anymore. And I noticed that this one does also have notes in it, so it clearly was someone's edition from school. That's alright. I enjoy the cover, and if I decide that I want to reread Lord of the Flies, now I have a physical copy to pick it up. The next two that I picked up are books 2 and 3 of a series, which actually worked out really well because I do already own book 1. It's not in the same edition, but that doesn't really bother me. If I gets further down the track and I'm not happy with it, then I can always go and find book 1 in the right edition. But that is Authority and Acceptance by Jeff Vandermeer. Book 1 is Annihilation, which was also adapted into a movie, I think, which I have seen. I just couldn't remember if it was a movie or a TV show. But yeah, so I was definitely excited to see both of those there and in pretty good nick, so I'm going to add those to my Jeff Vandermeer collection. I think now I might have all of his books, so that's pretty exciting, and maybe I'll be able to smash through and read the trilogy back to back now. The next one I picked up purely because I was looking for something scary, something crime thrillery to read, and this one just drew my eye, and also because it's a floppy paperback, and we always love a floppy paperback. But this one is called The Devil's Star by Joe Nesbo, and it seems to be about some sort of cultish murder or satanic murder, which, you know, we're all about, and it's so floppy. Sorry, I live right near the coast, and there is also an army base down south, so we constantly have helicopters. We'll just wait. Okay, the next one that I picked up is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Atesha Moshfegh. Sorry. And this one I'm picking up because it was something that Carly from Uncarly recommends over and over again in her videos. So when I saw this one for $3 on the modern literature table, I had to have it, and I was so happy to grab that one because I could see other people eyeing it off. So definitely happy to have that one. The next 14 books that I'm going to haul are some of, and not in order, collection of the Goosebumps books. I used to read these obviously when I was quite a bit younger, and I was very excited to find some of the older editions that I remember having as a kid. This is number 1 of the Goosebumps. Yes, I don't remember which edition these are, if they're the UK or the American edition, but I managed to get my hands on Welcome to Dead House, Stay Out of the Basement, Say Cheese and Die, The Girl Who Cried Monster, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp, Why I'm Afraid of Bees, A Night in Terror Tower, The Cuckoo Clock of Doom, Monster Blood 3, Night of the Living Dummy 2, Vampire Breath, and How I Learned to Fly. So that is those ones. Okay, the last 2 books that I hauled are actually already in my bookshelf, and I hauled them because I've been looking to complete my collections for quite some time now. It's a bit hard to grab, so I'm not going to grab the actual one that I hauled, but the first one is a book from the Wheel of Time series in this particular edition. This is book 1, which is The Eye of the World, but I hauled book 5 this time round, which means that I have now completed my mass market paperback in this edition collection. So I can read through the whole thing if I wanted to. That would probably take me months and months to do, but I have the option if I want to. The final book that I have, I'm not going to pull out because it's way over there off camera, and it is just The Return of the King. Yeah, it's book 3 in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it's Return of the King in the small black, I'll put it up here, mass markety paperback editions. But yeah, that was my Lifeline book fair haul. I spent, I think, $100 in total, and I went all 3 days. I had budgeted $100 as well, but 49 books, 48 books for $100. I'm happy with that. Anyway, let me know down below if you've read any of those or if you're excited about reading any of them. And yeah, until next time, bye. Now I'm gonna clean it all up. Oh dear. Oh, haven't taken the thumbnail yet.